Bill Clinton and the Lolita Express, America's slickest predator in a suit. 26 flights on Epstein's jet. Not 2, not 6, 26. That's not business travel, that's a loyalty program for pedophiles. It was for humanitarian work, says Bill. Yes, Bill, because Jeffrey Epstein, convicted child sex trafficker, was obviously the UNICEF of underage orgies. No Secret Service on some flights, no press, no cameras, no clothes, probably. Just Bill, Jeff, and a rotating cast of terrified teenage girls called massage staff. I never visited the island, says Clinton. Sure, and OJ just lost the knife. You flew on the Lolita Express like it was uber black. But we're supposed to believe you never peeked at Little St. James? What was the in-flight movie? Ghislaine's Guide to Grooming? Let's break this down. You're either, one, the most oblivious man alive, or a high-functioning predator with a press team and a saxophone. Spoiler alert, you're not oblivious. Epstein's pilot says you were there, flight logs say you were there, people saw you. But you say you were reading poetry to orphans? Bill, even your lies come with cigar smoke. You were on that island. We all know it. The only question is how many girls were silenced to protect your legacy. This wasn't politics. This was sex trafficking on private jets, funded by billionaires, enabled by monsters in suits. You just happened to be the most charming one, with the creepiest smile. There's a special seat in hell, Bill, right next to Epstein. Window view of the island. No escape, no interns, just truth.
Meet Prince Andrew, the royal family's walking disgrace, human punchline, and Epstein's aristocratic +1. A man so repugnant he managed to stain a monarchy already soaked in colonialism, corruption, and centuries of inbreeding. His royal title? The Duke of I Don't Recall. Andrew didn't just show up in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. He practically had platinum status. Flight logs, island sleepovers, Manhattan mansion visits, and of course, that photo, his arm around Virginia Giuffre, the 17-year-old who accused him of rape. His defense? I don't remember her. And oh yes, he doesn't sweat. Apparently, Prince Pedo has a royal medical condition that renders him immune to perspiration, guilt, and prison time. And the royal family? They did what they do best: close ranks, protect their own, and shovel the scandal under a golden rug. Stripped a few ceremonial titles, locked him in a palace corner, then helped pay off his accuser with millions of pounds. Taxpayer-funded silence. Because in the UK, if you rape a trafficked teen and your mum wears a crown, you still get room service. No trial, no justice, just hush money and a royal shrug. His real sin? Not the girls. Getting caught. This isn't just a disgraced prince. It's a blue-blooded horror story of power, perversion, and privilege, where predators wear medals and victims get ignored. Prince Andrew is no anomaly. He's the family business. God save the Queen? Too late. God save the children. Because hell doesn't forget, and God doesn't forgive. Once celebrated as Israel's most decorated soldier and a former prime minister, Ehud Barak now wears a different badge, Epstein's scarf-clad sidekick. Because nothing screams global statesman like sneaking into the Manhattan mansion of a billionaire pedophile with your face half covered like a pervy ninja. And this wasn't in 2002. No, this was after Epstein had already been convicted for trafficking minors. Barak didn't walk into the darkness blindly. He strolled in with a business plan and plausible deniability. He claims he never saw anything, never met young girls, and had no idea who Epstein really was. Right. And Judas was just offering Jesus a cheek kiss. Barak ran Israeli intelligence. He was the intelligence. He could identify threats in a war zone, but apparently couldn't sniff out a child sex trafficker with a private island, a black book thicker than the Talmud, and a jet called the Lolita Express. He didn't just visit, he profited. Barak got funding from Epstein-linked entities. He was in the house, on the lists, in the investments. Deep in the sleaze, but always just visiting. If this man's hands are clean, then Epstein was a choir boy. And for the record, Yes, the Jews killed Jesus, or so the Romans claimed. But don't blame all of them. Just blame the ones who do backroom deals with sex traffickers and then play dumb on camera. Now he walks the earth as a disgraced ghost of Israeli politics, haunted by photos, flight logs, and the deafening silence of justice not served. If there's a God, and he's paying attention, then Barack's seat in hell is booked.
What does Harvard's Veritas really mean when it comes to justice? Behind the gilded gates and Latin mottos, elite institutions like Harvard have mastered the art of shielding their own. From the outside, they preach equality and truth. Inside, they cultivate a culture where the rules bend for the powerful and accountability is a rare commodity. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, producing legal minds who excel at deflection, plausible deniability, and narrative control. When accusations emerge against the elite, be it politicians, financiers, or celebrity lawyers, Harvard's alumni network rallies, using their influence, resources, and legal acumen to bury scandals and silence victims. The infamous 2008 Epstein deal, orchestrated by such legal heavyweights, is a chilling example. A non-prosecution agreement that reduced justice to a negotiation, not a right. Harvard's truth becomes a velvet mask, concealing corruption and hypocrisy behind academic prestige. Next time you hear Veritas, remember, sometimes the brightest institutions cast the darkest shadows. Alan Dershowitz, Harvard law professor, legal acrobat, and Epstein's personal courtroom contortionist. Accused of having sex with underage girls trafficked by Epstein, he denies everything with the desperation of a man who thinks yelling louder makes him innocent. His defense? I kept my underwear on during the massage. That's not a legal argument. That's a punchline. But Dershowitz wasn't just a client of Epstein's grotesque empire. He was an architect. He helped broker the infamous 2008 non-prosecution agreement that gave Epstein a joke of a sentence, 13 months on work release, where he left jail daily to keep abusing girls. That's not justice. That's privilege with a law degree. And where did Dershowitz learn this masterclass in elite protection? Harvard, the so-called Temple of Truth, now a playground for liberal elitists who learn everything except ethics. Veritas? More like whatever protects our donors. No wonder Harvard birthed Justin Trudeau, a drama teacher turned national embarrassment, and Mark Carney, globalist banker and recession whisperer. These guys didn't fail the system. They are the system. Glossy on the outside, rotten underneath. Harvard doesn't produce leaders. It manufactures spin doctors, legal deflectors, and bureaucratic gymnasts. Dershowitz is the final product, a man who lectures on ethics while accused of enabling, defending, and participating in one of the most vile abuse networks of our time. No wonder they all went to the same school. No wonder they all learned nothing. No wonder justice still hasn't come. Ghislaine Maxwell, not just Epstein's accomplice, but the handmaiden of hell. She didn't get dragged into the abuse, she helped design it. Sourcing underage girls like party favors for the rich, powerful, and perverted. She groomed children with fake promises, then tossed them to wolves in suits and crowns. She wasn't a bystander. She was the architect of exploitation, smiling as innocence was obliterated behind closed doors. 20 years in prison? A vacation. A scandalous insult to every life she helped ruin. Because real justice doesn't wear a robe, it wields a sword, and God's wrath doesn't hand out parole. Her day in court? That was man's justice. But God's courtroom doesn't adjourn. And Ghislaine, your eternal sentencing has only just begun. There will be no luxury cell in hell, no lawyers, no deals. Just an endless, burning judgment where every lie you told echoes louder than your screams. Every child you handed over will stand as a witness, their pain carved into eternity. You may hide the client list from man, but not from God. He knows every name, every plain manifest, every blood-soaked secret you've guarded. He knows who you protected and why. And when the last dollar is spent, when the last mask falls, when the final predator draws their last breath, you'll still be burning beneath God's gaze. No forgiveness, no escape, only flames, and the sound of angels turning away. Because Ghislaine Maxwell didn't just traffic girls, she sold their souls. And now, hers is condemned.
Stop scrolling. This is the story Harvard wishes you'd forget. Larry Summers, once the president of the world's most prestigious university, didn't just open Harvard's doors to knowledge. He opened them to Jeffrey Epstein's dirty millions. After Epstein was exposed as a predator, Summers didn't distance himself. He welcomed Epstein back to the table, literally, inviting him to private dinners, networking events, and letting him funnel over $9 million into Harvard's coffers. This wasn't an oversight. It was a calculated embrace. While the world recoiled in horror, Summers saw opportunity. Prestige was more valuable than principle. Epstein's money washed away in the endowment, and in return, he got a new mask: academic legitimacy. Summers didn't just ignore evil, he normalized it, turning Harvard into a sanctuary for the irredeemable. When pressed, Summers called it a mistake. But this wasn't bad judgment. It was a betrayal of every ideal Harvard claimed to uphold. No remorse, no shame, just business as usual among the elite. This is what moral collapse looks like: polished, funded, and smiling. Les Wexner, Victoria's Secret, was a gateway to hell. Les Wexner, billionaire behind Victoria's Secret, didn't just sell lingerie. He funded a predator. He gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney in 1991, granting full control over his finances, properties, and decisions. A man with no license, no credentials, and later, a sex crime conviction. Yet Wexner let him sign checks in his name, and even handed over a $77 million Manhattan mansion. That's not friendship. That's complicity wearing a tailored suit. Even after Epstein's 2008 conviction, Wexner stayed silent. Epstein used Wexner's wealth, homes, and the Victoria's Secret brand to lure underage girls with fake modeling offers. Victims, including Maria Farmer, say they were abused on Wexner's Ohio estate, guarded by his security. And Wexner's excuse? He felt betrayed. No, you enabled evil, empowered a serpent, and sold your soul for stock options. In the eyes of God, this isn't just moral failure. It's sin. The sin of greed, pride, and silence in the face of suffering. Wexner didn't just ignore the cries. He built the altar they were sacrificed on. You don't accidentally give a predator the keys to your kingdom. You do it when your conscience is dead. If there's judgment after death, Wexner won't be remembered as a retail genius. He'll be the man who dressed women to undress innocence, the false prophet of fashion who lined the devil's pockets. And his final reward? A silken noose in hell, woven from every soul he helped destroy.